it was just the sheer sex appeal of the shape of this guitar. Everything about it made sense, and it still does. There's no weak link here. It's just all perfect. You know, it couldn't be any more perfect, for sure. So, yeah, there you go.
I had strats around the house and you know, tellies and such like that. And I've still got it. You know, I got a real good telly now. But the 6120s, just there's something about the proportions and the color that looked cool when I first seen them. You know, and maybe it was just I was pretty gung ho about, you know, Reverend Horton Heat and Setzer and stuff like that. You know, and I saw these guys with these giant orange guitars that were, you know, feeding back on stage, and you know, that's it. I just something about that orange and something about the, you know, just the proportions of it were cool.
You take the dog, I take the Galaxy 500. You get the cat, I get the couch you don't want anymore. You take
the whole Gretsch guitar is always, like I said, it's always been the underdog, and the guys that were kind of going out on a limb, you know, back in the day, you know, Eddie Cochran and you know, Harrison, and even Setzer, you know, trying to make a comeback from a genre that had been dead for 30 years, you know, went with Gretsch guitars, you know. It's a subculture. I bet twice a week somebody asks me, you know, what that tattoo on my forearm says. You know, what's a Gretsch, what's a Bigsby, you know. And I got to explain to them. A lot of people think it looks like a push mower too, so I have to explain that, but it kind of looks like a push lawnmower.
You know, a lot of players that I have emulated and liked, you know, play this guitar. You know, Brian Setzer, Eddie Cochran, Dwayne Eddy. You know, Eddie Cochran would probably be obviously the first one. Chet was actually the first one, for sure. And then when we get into the rock and roll, you had Eddie Cochran, you know? And Eddie Cochran was doing 20 Flight Rock. Ooh, I got a guy with a record machine. And playing that guitar, mind you, but his solos were just great. Yeah, that's Eddie's thing, the hammer on and the pull off. Killer stuff. And there he was doing that in 56, 57.
I'm gonna raise a fuss, I'm gonna raise a holler about working all summer just to try to earn a dollar. Yeah, every time I call my baby, try to get a date, my boss says, no diet, son, you gotta work late. Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
You connect with it. The guitar has soul. And there it has it, you know, and it's still alive, and it's still doing its thing.
If you wanna use the car to go riding next Sunday.
This guitar doesn't care what year it is. It's still doing what it's doing. But it's one of the coolest things about enjoying a vintage guitar, especially like this, with so much character, is being able to travel in time.
Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, but there ain't no cure for the summertime blues.
You want to go to 1975 and be the Who, get the amp, get the foot pedal, and you can do Who's Next on this. You can do Brian Setzer straight, you know, you can jump around your years, but just being able to go to the 50s, for guys our age, I guess, really is super, super cool to do that, and do that with that old guitar. That guitar to a Bassman. There you are. I mean, there it is. What more is there to say? You can rock it out just like Eddie Cochran did. That's just fantastic. Sure. Yeah, I just had to have that Gretsch. It was from outer space. It was another world. And you never saw them. That was the other thing. In the 80s, nobody played a Gretsch at all. You know, they weren't around. So that made it more attractive, was the elusiveness of this unique guitar. I was in Memphis in 1989 with my girlfriend, and we were cruising around and just having fun, looking at the Sun Studios and all that jazz, and I went into Pyramid Guitars, and there was that Eddie Cochran guitar on the wall. He had just gotten it.
I was working at a tattoo shop in Carbondale, and I was doing guest spots at this shop in St. Louis for a long time, and I was kind of just hanging out up there one day. It was slow. I always liked Gruen guitars in Nashville, and I was on Gruen's website, and he had a used 6120, a 1960 model, and the price was right on it, you know, and at the time I called him, I said, you know, can I put a deposit on it? He said, yeah, you can hold it, you know, for 24 hours or whatever it was. I called my local bank back home. I said, I've got to take out a personal loan. And the lady at the bank was like, what for? You know, I said, it's for a guitar.
It was $3,000. I said, I don't care how much it costs. Put it on my credit card.
All right, how much? And I told her, you know, just silence on the other end of the line. She's like, all right, you know.
I paid for it for about 2 years. I was 21 or 22. I don't know how old I was a kid, but I got it. I had to have that guitar. And that was my first 6120. I bought it in Memphis in 1989.
From St. Louis, I drove to Nashville that next morning and got it, still have it. And it's probably the centerpiece of my Gretsch collection, you know. I know everything about it. You know, I could pick it out in a line of 700 different Gretsches. I could see it and pick it out. You know, 39499 is the serial number. I know everything about it.
I gig with it all the time. I still do once in a while, but that was my first one. And then I ended up coming home, getting it that guitar I got tattooed on this arm.
As far as with Skinny Jim and the number 9 Blacktops, that Gretsch has been on there. I take it out, I play it, you know, they're tools. A lot of folks will have them and won't play them out, you know, and it's got to be played, you know. One thing I remember George Gruen saying was that a vintage instrument, he said it's one thing, he said you can hear it, you can smell it, you know, you see it, you can feel it, everything. He said besides tasting it, it's one of the most perfect collectible things. You know, you get a bottle of wine, you're going to drink it, you're going to use the bottle, you know, or stamps or such, but with a vintage guitar, you know, almost all the senses are taken by it,
So, yeah, that was the first 6120, and it's been all downhill since then.